Good day, my friends. It's your old pal, Jordan the Lion. How are you all doing today? I hope you said great. Today should be a fun day because we're answering your questions. I'm answering your questions for Ja and I. I did a post on the community section of YouTube and just grabbed a handful of the questions, and we're going to go ahead and see, if I can give you some answers. Pretty good questions, actually, and it'll kind of give you some insight as to what we'll be doing for the next couple of months as well. So the first question was, what was the scariest experience you had while on the road? It was actually in Los Angeles. I was vlogging a cemetery that I had never been to before, in a part of town that I never go to, and it was pretty far south. And so I remember I had just finished vlogging the cemetery, and I was working my way up. I believe it was gosh, I'm not even sure what road it was. I was going, it wasn't Highland, it might have been Fairfax, I'm not sure. But I was going north, and there were, at that time of the day, there's just all kinds of crazy people out driving. Pretty much any time of the day in Los Angeles anyway, but there's always, when there's two lanes, there's always somebody in the left lane that is going to eventually have to turn left. So, you're always going to get stopped and be behind that. And there was some guy that was just like frantically driving around all the cars and trying to get around as many as he could. And I remember at one point the two lanes became one lane, and he cut somebody off to get up in there, and I don't know if he pulled off and to stop for some reason or what, but at one point I remember the car was in front of me, and then all of a sudden I'm at a stoplight, and when you can feel somebody staring at you? The car over here to the passenger side, I can feel them staring at me, and I look over, and there is a guy. This was the height of COVID and everything. This was when everybody was wearing a mask everywhere. He had sunglasses and a ski mask and an assault rifle pointed right at me. Don't know why. I don't know why he didn't shoot. Don't know what the reason was, if it was just random. The light, I looked up, I just remember throwing my car in reverse because I was like, if nothing else, even if I ram the person behind me, maybe I'll get out of the way or something. And I remember as I did that, looking up, and the light turned green and all the cars started going, and he just took off. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, I wasn't vlogging something that was near and dear to my heart. So it was like a life lesson. I was like, what was I doing? Like, I didn't even need to be here. I didn't even, this was just an interesting story that I found. Like, what am I doing? And it also was like, why am I here anyway anymore? At the time I was spending, because everything was closed in Los Angeles, I was spending most of my time in Las Vegas anyway, or looking for a place that wasn't very restricted that I could go and live. And so that was kind of like one of the turning points for when I decided to pack up and get out of Los Angeles once and for all. But that was definitely the scariest, just looking over and someone having a gun pointed at you. I may have mentioned it on a live stream, but it's nothing I've ever put out there because I don't want people to be freaked out. But yeah, never thought that would happen, but that was a vlogging story. That was when I was vlogging the old LA mayor. One of the early mayors, and yeah, like I said, it was not something that was near and dear to my heart, and boy, did I start rethinking what I was doing after that. Great question. Next question is, hi Jordan, how do you go about finding new places to vlog? Does planning, researching your itinerary and routing your travel take a lot of time? It's amazing how many cool things you find. Thank you so much. It all kind of, it just, there's no set way I do it anymore. It used to be, well, I want to go hit this place and I'll hit all these things all along the way. Nowadays, it's more like when people are available to hang out and they're like, hey, I'm free from this time to this time if you feel like coming up my way and vlogging anything. Nowadays, that's kind of like the way I've been doing it, is if something sounds appealing and I want to go hang out with somebody for a while, then I kind of plan my trip around going there and then finding things to do around there. So like probably in April, my friend just sold a company that he owned and was like, hey, I got a lot of free time because I just sold my company. If you want to come out, this would be a great time. So I was like, well, maybe I will. So I have a couple of places that I'm planning on probably going to hit in April. Next question. I'd like to learn more behind the scenes things like what equipment you use in editing programs. What do you do to prepare for videos before filming? I use this Canon, which is a Canon G7X Mark III. I also have a Sony ZV-1 that I use if it's really windy out, or if I want to make sure that something like does not lose focus at all, I'll use that one. It just doesn't have as good of a zoom range. So, and also like when I'm in like museums that play music or something overhead that can be copyrighted, it picks up the music, it just picks up the noise way too well. So a lot of times I'll use this. As far as editing, I edit it right on my cell phone and do it on something called Program Director. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Power Director Pro is what I use. And it's just a monthly subscription program, so it's pretty easy and simple, so that's kind of what I like about it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then as far as preparation, I just read as much as I can, just go down as many rabbit holes online as I can. I try and find articles or interviews, things like that, that people are telling stories, and I try and kind of go off of there. Another great question. Next one. Any plans on coming back to the West to vlog this year? I think you might love vlogging here in our town in Utah. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll get to Utah. I'm not sure. I've been invited to go hang out with my friend in Los Angeles for a few days, and I figure if I'm that far west, I'll probably go maybe to Palm Springs and visit Scott Michaels, or I'll go to Vegas and visit Todd and Kat. That's kind of more what I'm planning. I was pretty much sure that I was gonna fly and do that trip, but I'm kind of thinking as of today, I might just drive it, because I was basically going to at like the 1st of April drive up and visit my family in Ohio, and I was gonna stay with them till about Easter, and then I was gonna go back home for a couple of days, hang out, and then probably like have somebody watch Jaw while I flew to California and maybe went to Vegas, or did that. But now I'm just thinking I might just drive from Ohio out to like maybe Vegas first, visit them, and then go to I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't really have a reason I can't, other than if the weather is going to be crazy. I don't want to be traveling in icy, dangerous weather. But other than that, I'm kind of cool with the idea of just me and Jaw hitting the road for a month. So we'll see what happens. But Utah might fall in there. I'm just not sure, because I have never been to Colorado either. And Eric Singer has been on me about some friends of his have some stuff they want me to come visit them and vlog, and there's just stuff in Colorado. So I was kind of thinking that I might plan my trip through there, but I just don't know yet. But I know you're there, and I will catch up with you, because there is more stuff in Utah that I definitely want to see for sure. Next question is, oh, this is interesting. You said, I love your interview with Jeff Scott. He was the piano player for the Comedy Store. So I'm curious if you know what happened to his little Comedy Store museum. Did his family acquire it? I just hope it's safe and secure somewhere. What I believe happened was that his family told the Comedy Store they would like to donate all that stuff to the Comedy Store, provided that the Comedy Store gave it a home, or like they didn't sell it, like that they displayed it as a museum piece. So I know some of the stuff is on display. I don't know if it's permanent or if it's at certain times of the year. The reason I say that is because Jeff Scott like thrived at Halloween, and God, I wish I had a picture of it. He made this monstrous freaking T-Rex outfit out of milk jugs that he had to like put on. He'd strap it with like a car seat to wear it and everything. This thing was huge, and he could walk. I mean, it was major. So, but one of the things that Jeff always did every Halloween was he did the ghost tours at the Comedy Store, and that's when they would open up places that normally throughout the year were always closed, and Jeff would tell the stories that he had heard or things he experienced and things like that. So I know around Halloween time, they bring his stuff out, and they definitely put it on display in honor of him during that time. But I think the plan at some point was to find a permanent home where it can all be displayed. The problem is, maybe not so much of a problem because of the video, they didn't know what a lot of it was. But I had sent them a message and said, hey, if you watch my video, he kind of goes through quite a bit of it and tells what it is, but it, you know, some of it were like cigarette butts and things like that. So if it got moved and the people didn't know what it was when it got moved, it could be difficult to find out. But Jeff's stuff is safe. I do know that. Thank God. That's really cool because he spent so much time acquiring it and caring for it that I love knowing that it is safe. So thank you for asking about that. That's great. Our next question is, of all of your vlogs you've done, which one was the most unexpectedly surprising? Oh, like what you've learned from most or had an unexpected experience. You know, I think the thing that I would think of first was meeting Marcus Winslow. And that was the James Dean stuff. He was James Dean's cousin. Man, he really gave James or Jimmy a real like he really made him tangible, like in front of you in a way. His stories just told more. See, I had never really like connected hardcore to James Dean because part of it for me was that you know, it was when I had heard stories about him, and you know, he didn't have that much work out there. When I heard stories about him, he always kind of came off kind of cocky or arrogant, or you know, just somebody I probably wouldn't get along with or wouldn't like. And even when Shelly told me stories, her stories leaned more towards him being like immature and kind of wild, and also just probably something that I was like, yeah, I don't think I'd relate to him. But then when you kind of heard about his personality through Marcus's eyes and what, you know, Marcus remembered and what his parents had told him and everything, it really made him much more of a fascinating person. It made, when you watch him on screen, have a lot more behind what he was doing than meets the eye originally, I think. So that's the first one that I think really pops out at me, that I walked away just thinking, wow, what an, you know, not even like what an amazing actor, like what just an interesting, amazing human being that lasted and lived on this earth, and only lasted for, you know, a short amount of time. But what a mark and stories he's left behind. Great question, by the way. Next question is, I love your vlogs, specifically on Graham Parsons, Elvis, Jim Croce. Who is one artist that you wish were still alive that you'd love to sit and have a conversation with? That's a really good question. I would say probably Elvis. I guess probably Elvis. I would love to know how he views music, how he would view his legacy. You know, had all the stuff, you know, the cartoon on Netflix and the movies and all that, like, would that stuff have come about had he survived? What would he have allowed his legacy to be? What does he think of the evolution of music? What, you know, I'd really, because he was just such an very opinionated person, but not without merit. He did a lot of reading, a lot of, you know, kind of investigating different aspects and different points of view. So I think he would be an interesting person, right off the top of my head, that I would have loved to have, you know, seen, you know, around now and asked them some questions. Probably not a surprise for most of you that I would say that, but I was thinking other people, but I think probably him, yeah, because he lived such a huge life. That next question. From your time on YouTube, what videos have you enjoyed making the most, and your least favorite, if any. My favorite videos are, I think they have to be filming locations. I really love going to a place and seeing it now, but in my mind, seeing the scene, and just that magic of like, I don't know if maybe you're this way, but like, I don't know, as you're a kid and you see these movies in the theater, or you saw them for the first time, there's a part of you that while you're watching the movie, you imagine yourself in the movie, and you just kind of imagine, well, what if I didn't live the life that I live? And what if that were my life? And you just kind of, I don't know, I think that's what kind of brings you in. Like, what if you were Marty McFly for this, movie? And I think things like that, that really comes to life when you're there visiting these locations, like places, like for me, one that's a huge one, technically trespassing, but I wanted to see it so bad, it was like I had to go, was when Breck and I went out to see where they filmed Hey Dude, the Nickelodeon show Hey Dude. Just knowing that it was out there, and for who knows how long, I loved that show. It was just such a fun time in my life when I would be at my grandparents' those summers, when we didn't have school, we were on summer vacation, and I would spend my day swimming and, coming in, watching that, and then watching the Reds games and things like that. Just such a fun time in my childhood. So going out to see that was just like off the charts to this day, one of my favorite moments. One of my least, I would say, or things that I didn't like vlogging, I think any time that there's like a child death involved, going to the house of like where they film Poltergeist and knowing Heather O'Rourke's story and just things like that, like those kind of things, like they hit me, they make me think of that person. Just like it makes me think of, wow, what all didn't we know, what all will we never know, and how many times will these kind of things happen again in the future. So I don't like doing those, but I do like spotlighting those people's career, because that's all, in many cases, that's all that like some of the child stars have left, is their work in the cinema for people to remember them. So yeah, those are kind of the rough ones. Next question was, what was the hardest place to film for your vlogs, and is there any vlogs that will never see the light of day due to copyright or issues with a single party? Oh yeah. So the first part of your question was the hardest places to film for your vlogs. Well, if a place says no filming, I don't film. They say you can take photos, then I take photos. What is difficult is all the background music everywhere. You can't go anywhere without background music, so that becomes difficult. Like sometimes just going off and wanting to show off a flea market, antique mall, theme park, things like that. Man, there's just like theme music everywhere you go. So that's hard to work around. But other than that, there's nothing that really gives me that I hate vlogging, other than that, or else I just flat out wouldn't do it. Videos that will never see the light of day. Yeah, I made 2 videos with this guy that a friend of mine helped set me up with, because this guy had just some amazing, real, hard to come by Andy Kaufman memorabilia. And it turned out he had a ton of just amazing, cool stuff all over his place. But, the true story was that, this guy knew we were coming to film. We talked about it all week. We met up beforehand, had lunch. The friend that helped set it up, the person that I filmed, my girlfriend at the time, we were all talking about what we were going to film. We all knew this was going to happen. And, this person during lunch kept going, oh, I feel like I should go fix my hair. We're like, because they were wearing a baseball cap. And we're like, no, you look fine. So we go film for 2 hours. This guy's amazing memorabilia, turned it into 2 videos. I post the first video, and he starts contacting me and the friend that helped set it up saying, I didn't know you were filming this. Nobody told me that you were filming this. I didn't sign a paper. I'm going to have to run this past my attorney. And, you know, well, tell you what I'll do. I'll get a professional makeup person in here, and I'll do my hair and this and that, and then we can reshoot it. And I'm like, and like throughout the email, they had referenced that 3 or 4 times. I go, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is this like really what it comes down to? Like that you watched the video and that you wish you would have done your hair that day instead of wearing a ball cap? So you're threatening legal action? I said, I'll tell you what, dude, that's not how I make videos. I make them like I show up, have a fun day with people. It's all off the cuff. I don't pre-plan it. I don't do special lighting. I don't do makeup. I don't do any of that stuff. We already made the videos. If you're telling me you want me to take it down, then I'll take it down. And he said, yeah, I want to. When can we reshoot it? And I said, there will be no reshoot. That was it. That was the time. Thank you. Good day. And the friend that helped set it up was like, dude, I hope you don't hold me responsible, because it was as clear as day to all of us that we were filming that. That friend was even there while we were filming. He's talking right to the camera, so it's like he knew we were filming that day. And you know, I put those videos on private, so those won't come out. And then Paul Stanley hired me for, well, or his music video production company hired me at one point during COVID to make to film a behind the scenes video, or just to film behind the scenes stuff, because they were making music videos for Paul's, his project that he does. You know, he has like an R&B project and everything, and they were coming out with a new album. And so I got hired to do that. And after the shoot, just with my footage, I put together a little thing. And they were gonna do, at first I was told by the music video makers, hey, once he releases his videos, put yours out. And that's what I was gonna do. I thought that would be no problem. And then I sent the finished edit to Eric, just for Eric to see, and Eric sent it to Paul. This was before the album was out or anything, and Paul kind of like was like, wait a minute, what? Tell your friend he's got to take this offline. Like this could be a big problem. Like the album's not out yet. And Eric was like, no, Paul, it's, you know, this is just private. This is just showing you what the footage came out to be. But because of that, I've been just so paranoid, even though, you know, the music video people told me I could put, even since then, I went to him since then and said, can I put it out now? And they said, yeah, no problem. I still would rather ask Paul first. I just think that, you know, being that I've been around him enough and everything, I just kind of feel like that's something, instead of creating a problem, I should just, you know, contact him somehow and just say, hey, you know, it's not monetized at all. I just want to share it because it makes Paul look like a really cool guy, as a matter of fact. So if I can ever, you know, get the okay to put that one out, I will. I've shared it on Patreon, so Patreon people have seen it privately and everything, but it's just one of those things I don't feel like I should release until, you know, I hear from him. That's okay, you know. Next question. How long do you see yourself doing your travel vlogs? That's a really great question. To be honest, lately I've been thinking not very long. I kind of have been, you know, I noticed there's just so many travel vloggers, and at some point, you know, how many people can go the same place that are posting YouTube videos? And I just see a lot of times that videos they spend a lot of time like working hard on, and then going and traveling to do, they get really low views. But if I post anything at all that remotely could be deemed as controversial or drama or personal life, man, the views just go through the roof. So I just kind of have thought from seeing that, if it really, like, if the views don't really matter whether, you know, I go to the place or not, maybe I'll just, you know, quit being in the videos. And I'll kind of move over to doing more of like, more maybe video footage and and photo like collage stories. And if people want like old Hollywood, I can do, you know, any number of topics and not need to go anywhere to put together a good story and make a video. I mean, so many more channels do so much better with, you know, no effort at all that I just feel like if I, you know, a lot of people really just enjoy my storytelling, so I figured, well, I would still narrate all of the videos and do it that way. We'll just see. You know, I just I don't want to put all the time and effort into something that people don't, you know, want to watch anymore. So I just I feel like I've done YouTube long enough to where I understand how to do YouTube, so I could kind of transition into something different, to where it wouldn't be about me at all anymore. It would just be about like whatever the topics were. So I don't know if I'll do that or when I'll do it. Just something I've been thinking about, but it is definitely something I do think about, because I put so much money and time into like traveling and so many miles and stuff that sometimes I do just wonder, like, do I really need to, when I could be at home getting the same amount of views on something else that, you know, I could just kind of put together in my house. So just something to think about that for me. But not saying I'm going that route yet. I'm just saying that's something that I will I have thought about recently. The next question is, any Texas plans? Can't wait to meet that sweetie pie of yours. No plans for Texas right now. I'm trying to yeah, not at the moment. I don't have anything that's like sometimes conventions or things, you know, draw me there. Don't have anything on the docket right now for Texas, unfortunately. Next question, do you ever relax at home? You're always traveling. Yeah, I do go home. When I make the videos, basically what I try and do is travel for like a month and film more videos than I need. And then that gives me like 3 weeks to go home when you guys don't know I'm home and just relax. And that's generally what I do. But yeah, I do get to spend time at home. I do get to relax. I don't know, you know, back when I used to make just one video a day, it was easier that way, but you also had to make one every day. And I think just making more while I'm traveling and hitting cool stops is maybe the better way to go for me, because I do need sometimes like days where I'm not obligated to have like the pressure of going out and making a vlog, you know. Next question. Please tell us about the band songs used for the intro and outro music for your videos. That is a band called 84 Nash. They were, when I was in high school, they were in college at Ohio State University, or I think one of them might even been going to the Columbus College of Art and Design at the time. And they were, my friend Adam, when I was in high school, he was one grade below me, but he had a band, I had a band, and we used to book out like Masonic temples and stuff, and we would throw shows with our two bands. But his brother's band, his older brother Kevin, his band was 84 Nash, and they were kind of well known because in like 1994 MTV came to Dayton, Ohio, and they did a story on Guided by Voices, and Guided by Voices got a bunch of buzz. And when the singer Guided by Voices decided to start his own record label, he found 84 Nash's first cassette that they had just recorded. They had mailed to a record store. The guy in the record store was playing it overhead, and Bob from Guided by Voices heard it and said, "Who's this band? I want to sign them." And the guy at the record store said, "I'm going to sign him first." And so they ended up both trying to sign him. Bob's label, which was called Rockathon, signed him and put the record out. It's been since out of print for many years, but since they let me use the music, one of the deals that we've had was that once we can get it all together, that I would pay to re-release those albums, so that, you know, because there's so many people that, like you, that ask, that are watching my channel that want that music and they can't get it anymore. So we're gonna try and maybe get that in the process this summer, like to where it's in the queue. I don't know how long it'll take for them to do, but we're hoping to place an order around July. So Anyway, they have another band. The bass player dropped out somewhere after college. They got a new bass player, a synthesizer player, and they became called Connections, and they still are making albums to this day, and actually just released one the other day. So go look up Connections on like Spotify and you can listen to their stuff for free. But that was who 84 Nash was, and that's who does the music. It's not me. Do you plan on visiting Shoeless Joe Jackson's grave anytime soon? I don't have a plan right as of now when I'll be in South and North Carolina, but the next time I go through there, I probably will do it because there's some other stuff that I do want to do there. I just don't like exactly know. That might happen in May, but I'm just not sure. Next question, would you ever do a WrestleMania series vlog? I'm not a WWE fan anymore. I like NXT, but as far as like Raw and SmackDown, I'm really not into it. I'm really more into the AEW and NWA stuff. So WrestleMania, to me, the idea of it sounds cool, but I just don't like any of the, like, not gonna say any, because I like Kevin Owens, I like Sami Zayn, I like Cody, but other than, and some of the women's wrestlers, but I just, overall, I just don't care. Like, they don't make me care about like what they're doing. I just don't like the creative side of it. So probably not anytime soon unless they like just offered me free tickets for some crazy reason. Next question, since you've been here in Florida and besides the My Girl locations, any plan for up and coming movie locations? I did My Girl like 2 years ago. I would like to do Cocoon. That would be a fun one, and I've been meaning to do Follow That Dream for a couple of weeks. I just haven't done it. But those are the two that I'm planning on doing at some point. Hopefully, you know, if not this trip, next trip. Looks like these are going to be the last questions. Did Todd Fisher ever change the figures on the tomb of the girls? No, to my knowledge, he has not. He has not, did not changed it and put that really cool thing up there yet. I think Debbie's assistant passed away recently, and she was the one that was like keeping up with all the decorations for all the holidays. So you might stop seeing those when you go out there as well. Like how one of the last times I was out there, they had this just immaculate Christmas display and everything. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. But if I go out there, I'll ask him if there's any plan for that to happen. Next question. When are you coming to the Northeast? I'm not exact. Well, I know for sure 4th of July-ish, probably going to be up around Niagara Falls. So that's kind of Northeast. Next question. Oh, your next question was actually, what's the plan for 4th of July? I think probably to be up in either Buffalo or Niagara Falls area. Any future plans to visit Ronnie Van Zant's new grave? Yes, at some point I will. I'd like to go out there with Gene Odom again. I didn't know that whole move had taken place, so thank you for letting me know. And next question is, who is your favorite pro wrestler? Right now, probably Darby Allin or MJF, Kenny Omega. I like those guys. Sting. Those are my favorites. And let me see. Looks like this is the last question. Will you ever see a game in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium? I'd love to show you around. I went 2 seasons ago. I went to Babe Ruth's grave and then went over to show where the old stadium was, and they were just opening the stadium, so I went to a game then. So I actually, I have been to a game and I loved it. So I will get back there at some point, but I think Citi Field is my next plan for when I get to New York. I want to go to a game at Citi Field. Thank you all for your questions. I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of them. There were a lot of questions like I would have never guessed that you would ask about things that, you know, I would have never guessed you'd ask about, but I picked the ones that I felt like I could give you an answer to, and you know, I try never to answer something that might hurt somebody's feelings or or anything like that. So I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of them, but thank you for your questions, and we'll do this again at some later date, and maybe you can ask me a question then and I can answer it for you then. Until then, have a great night and goodbye.